afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is that you've decided to tune in. This is the Backyard Bougie Podcast. Finally, right?
Yes. Woohoo! I can stop holding my breath. It's actually here. Can't believe it.
Thank God you really weren't holding your breath. It's been almost 3 years in the making.
I know. I got so much encouragement from several of my friends and family and our kids.
Yeah.
And you, of course, love. Just asking when I was going to do it, if I was still going to do it. We had a lot of technical difficulties at the beginning, and then life threw some curveballs like it normally does, and we had to ride the waves here for a couple years, and so now we're here.
And
Yay!
We're going to celebrate with our audience. We've made a decision to do both video and audio, which we weren't initially going to do.
Nope.
And through some technical difficulties and challenges a couple of years ago, we realized we needed to up our game and get the right equipment. So these octopus arms that are attached over here are hopefully making us sound better. And I don't think the camera makes me look all that better.
It does,
but you didn't need to look that better anyways, babe, because you're gorgeous no matter what.
Oh, thank you, love.
Hey, I do my part. That's
yes,
right.
you do.
The good news is that I married up, so then that way there, my entire life I can just continue to chase after you, because I married this gorgeous woman who is way beyond my level.
Oh,
so, way beyond.
I
But
don't think so.
what would a celebration be, especially for us, without some celebratory beverages? And I don't think there's a better way to celebrate this day than with some champagne.
Absolutely.
I think we should, with our audience, with our listeners, I think we should absolutely crack open a bottle of bubbly. We'll get to sharing with them a little bit of the vision, kind of the plan, what the future should entail, how y'all can best support us with supporting by subscribing, clicking the like button. We know this is very new for us. We're not a high-tech production team. There's actually nobody standing behind that camera. It's all us. And the reason we're doing this, this is not one of those 2025 dreams to become an influencer.
No.
We're not the influencing type, as you can tell.
No.
This is really about us just sharing our passion, our love for relationships, for friendship, and then of course we'll have a little mixture of some food, wine, really all things beverages, because there's not a beverage that we discriminate against in this household.
True.
So, but
Coffee, tea,
and me, right? All of that. But with that said, let's get the celebration going. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. I just so happen to have a fresh bottle of Gwynland Estate Rosé. This is actually a local vineyard, not too far from our house here, up in El Dorado County. I think they're up in the 2,500 foot elevation ish range. And this is a family run winery.
Very sweet family.
Yeah, amazing family. Mom and the husband, and then their son is actually the winemaker. And their daughter-in-law runs the tasting room and all their special events. And they do a marvelous job. They take great care of their club members, take great care of the community. And
they make you feel like family.
They absolutely do make you feel like family. And they just opened up a really new tasting room up there not too long ago. They were in construction during COVID, and then obviously some setbacks came. They were probably wise business people and chose to postpone some construction when that lumber was $1,700 a board foot or whatever it got to. But nonetheless, the cool thing about this vineyard in this winery, it's all estate grown. So all of the grapes that they make their wine with come directly from their estate. It is technically not a champagne. For those of you out there that are going to try to school us already on our wine knowledge and our viniculture, we're just amateurs here, folks. So just give us a break. But what's really cool about this vineyard is not only are they all estate grown, but they do all of their wines in the traditional method of Champagne France, which for those of you who are the connoisseurs of wine and you do have your sommelier certification, that would mean that it would be justified as a sparkling wine from California, but made in the traditional method of Champagne. And so we're going to pop this open. This is a 2019 rosé. This is a fantastic, little bit on the drier side rosé, not one that is going to give you that harsh, acidic foretaste or aftertaste. Look at how that cork mushroomed out. Good sign of cork in a sparkling. And in addition to that, this winery has also won Sparkling Wine of California. And for those of you listening in and watching, you know that's actually a pretty big deal because California's got some great wine country out here. And there's lots of wineries that are now getting into the sparkling business. And for these guys to have won California Sparkling Wine of the Year at the California State Fair, that's no underestimation of the quality here. And you can tell that we just put it on ice and it's got quite the bubbles going on here, but doesn't mean we can't get more.
Can't celebrate without it.
This is true.
This is true. You could, but then that'd be a shame.
That would be a shame. But for all of our listeners out there, if you're at home, we encourage you to grab a glass of champagne or sparkling wine or whatever your favorite beverage is and celebrate with us. This has been several years in the making. We've had quite the family roller coaster over the last 3 years that we'll share a little bit about. But this truly is a milestone and a journey that we are so thankful to finally be kicking off and getting a chance to celebrate and reach new heights together. So for that, we thank you, and we are super excited to start this journey with you. So cheers and salud.
Salud. That's good.
That's very nice. That's very nice. That is a fantastic rosé. All right, well, now that we've officially kicked off, let's talk a little bit about what our listeners and viewers can expect in the podcast to come. So I know you've shared just in kind of the highlight video that we released a couple years ago that we were looking to share relational ideas and some experiences that we've had. By no means are we professional therapists or professional relational coaches. We just come from a place of experience. We come from a place of making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. Many mistakes. I think we've also been, I would say, we've been students of relationship. And we've done a lot of reading. We've done a lot of seminars together. We've gone to different couples retreats. We've visited different therapy professionals to help us in our journey. And I know you talked a lot about that in the intro a couple of years ago. That obviously for all the right reasons we didn't continue at that time. But why don't you share with our listeners what they can expect from this podcast? What are some episode themes? What are some ideas? And what are some concepts that we're currently working on?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, hon, when you said by all means or not, we don't got all of it together. But what we do have together, I think we hold well. And so I would actually just describe it as a bag of trail mix, because that's what life really is. You reach your hand into the bag and you don't know if you're going to get a peanut, a raisin, or candy.
Are you calling me a nut?
No.
Oh, okay. Am I more of the candy?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. The eye candy or?
All of it.
All of it.
The
okay.
whole package,
the whole
right?
package.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So just, encouragement. We all benefit from encouragement. So if this podcast, reaches one person and it touches them in a way of which they hear something, a little nugget that they can pick up and just hold on to while they are journeying on their chapter that they're in. We all live in different seasons and different chapters, but transparency, right?
That's right.
Is the best way we can be with each other if we're going to really make it work, just relationally, like husband and wife. If we can be transparent in our friendships with our kids so they see the real highs and lows, knowing that we're not the only ones going through something hard and difficult at times when you feel like everybody else has their stuff together. The little snippets you get on social media that, just constantly comparing, oh, they got to go on the third vacation. And
you notice nobody ever posts pictures of like them crying in their room alone at night and the sleepless, restless nights that they have. You notice nobody ever posts those pictures?
Well, yeah, because it's not pretty.
It's not pretty, and who would want not pretty on social media? Right.
I'm tired of the not pretty. It gets very depressing, especially for our kids. We have 4, 2 of which are at a different level than the other 2, and just the pressures.
Yes.
We had a lot of pressures, but today's society it never goes away.
It doesn't.
We had pagers.
We did have pagers, and you remember the whole. How many of you out there as listeners? Go ahead and comment down below in the comment section. How many of you had pagers, and do you remember the different messages you could send just with alphanumeric numbers on a pager? Those were the days. Remember that? And all of the little codes that we had sending back and forth with our Motorola pagers. And, sometimes you'd have to flip them upside down to read the messages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were the days. But yeah, no, our kids these days, this generation, they're in the information overload state, and they never get a chance to get away from it. And to your point, the facade that social media can present, the lack of transparency that people don't live with and don't live by. And now with AI, I mean, everybody can be, gorgeous and, no wrinkles and, 50 pounds lighter in every picture. You can have the perfect chiseled face, right? All that stuff can just be completely modified with AI. But I think our goal and our objective and our hope is that we can be just more transparent, just more real and down to earth. We're not doing this for the money, right? There's no money in this for us little lowly podcasters. We actually in our journey to find the right equipment and figure out how to get the sound and the video and stuff just right. We actually were YouTubing some guys talking about what it was to start a podcast and how do you get the gear and stuff and what gear you should use and how to use it. And it's amazing because they described that for the first 10 years of doing a podcast, you should really count on nothing at all other than...
Well, I think we're off to a good start.
I think we're really off to a great start, right? And
even if we had to put a pause in it for a couple of years.
That's right.
Sometimes pauses are important, and those we don't take heed of personally for ourselves, relationally with our spouse or our significant other. Embracing the pause is going to be another...
Oh, did you just reveal another podcast episode? Wow.
Did.
See, only those who have tuned in to the very first Backyard Bougie unscripted podcast get a glimpse at that. So, y'all are welcome.
Yes.
But all that to say, we're just here to be transparent, to be open, honest folks. We've got some exciting surprises in store that we're going to share as we go through this journey together. But really what we want to start with is just sharing a little bit of our relational journey. And so that'll be some of our first podcasts that we do. We'll be doing one that introduces Mrs. Gorgeous over here. That's her official nickname. You can see all of her Yeti product. It's custom engraved on there for Mrs. Gorgeous. And I am love of your life. Love of her life. But she says love of your life. Anyways,
love of my life.
Yeah, love of my life. All that stuff. That's what it is. But we're just going to share about our relational journey. We'll introduce Mrs. Gorgeous.
February 1st. It's the month of love.
It is the month of love.
And we're going to be talking about our love.
That's right.
And where love is important for self-love. Because if you don't love yourself first, you can't love
anybody else.
Somebody else.
That's right.
And so those are other little nitbits, little morsels that you can taste.
You're just giving a lot away today.
No, you know.
Yeah. You know what the month of love calls for? Some more champagne. As we kick off the month of love, February 1st, 2025, all of our viewers, let's enjoy some more champagne. But we'll have an episode that introduces Mrs. Gorgeous. We'll have an episode that introduces me, I guess. I don't know. But we'll do that together. We're going to talk a little bit about our journey, our early life together, some of the early experiences and learnings that we had. We're going to talk about kind of how we got to where we're at today. Some of our raising kids stories. My gracious, I can't believe it, but we've got almost a 23-year-old Valentine's Day, couple weeks, 2 weeks away. He'll be 23. Our daughter on March 1st will be 21. I know. And then, of course, we've got our newly anointed teenager, just turned 13. And then the double-digit whammy of our baby that just turned 10.
Our firecracker.
She's our firecracker. And not that she'll ever watch this, but
yes, she will.
The reality is we are very, very, very blessed to have her in our life. But we oftentimes say God knew what he was doing when she was our last child. Not sure what we would have done if she was the first child.
And God definitely knew what he was doing because he placed them all in right order.
Oh, he absolutely did that. He did that, yes. He knows a few things we don't. But nonetheless, why don't you just share a little bit about why you thought the podcast would be something that you wanted to share and put out there for the 2 listeners that are going to hear it?
Well, definitely easier than putting on a whole, travel gig that could be rejected. No one knows me. I'm a nobody, but that's okay. I'm not looking to be a somebody. I am a person. I am Kristie. I'm your wife. I'm a mom. I have a lot of rules, and so I thought it would be best. There actually has been a lot of seed planting. Started with our kids and you. We were in the car, and our son came home from Portland, and he was like, Brianna, have you ever experienced how mom will send you a message at just the right time? And it's like the words hit you because it's what you need to hear at the time.
Yes.
And then they both look up, and they're like, yeah. And then, of course,
you
Genius
didn't tell them the secret, right?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't give them away the secret cheat code because they can't have that yet. They're not allowed to have that.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was just, and then they're like, it's almost like you should have a podcast so everybody can be encouraged. Well, then fast forward, some of my really close friends that we do life with, I had shared, my kids are thinking about a podcast. You should do a podcast. And then some other people had said, oh, you're going to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just like that silent secret echo I kept hearing. And I got really disappointed and discouraged when we tried to do this outside and got all this background noise. The lighting was just terrible. Couldn't hear a thing. Had it recorded, and it was no good. So that was discouraging, but that was a pause. So I embraced the pause. I was encouraged, but I wasn't going to let that hold me down, nor were you going to let it hold me down.
That's right. Well,
but during the pause, the beauty of it is I still got encouragement from our circle. People that are just like, Kristie, I think you really should do it. You always, encourage me. And it not to self-gloat, it was just like, well, wow, because I didn't really know that my words was really resonating in hearts of which just needed to hear it.
That's right.
And it affected our kids, and I was like, wow, I'm kind of halfway doing my job as a mom. Yay. And as a wife at times when I would send you when you were traveling these letters and just encouraging you on your journey for work. And the kids would even stick some in there at times too. But, just everybody needs encouragement. And if this podcast only reaches 3 people, but 1 out of the 3 gets encouraged, I think we've done what we intended to do. It's nothing but encouragement. We don't have everything together. We have bad days. We don't make all the right decisions. We're human. We're all flawed. But you know what? We're beautifully flawed, because even flawed pictures, mosaics, they're beautiful.
They are.
And we're beautiful. And so if we could just share some of life experiences just to plant a seed into somebody's thought of thinking, man, everybody around me seems to have it all together. I don't have anybody, or whatever the weight of the world is weighing on you, because it is there. Everybody is experiencing a weight in some way. And if you're not, prepare yourself, because it's coming.
It's coming. That's right.
And so it's just being a bit, encouraging in a society of which doesn't encourage encouragement.
That's right.
It's everything has to be perfect, and that's setting people up for failure in many assets. So
that's right.
We just want to be transparent with you, transparent with us, and just enjoy over some champagne.
That's right. Champagne. Awesome. Look, I think at this point, we probably need to top off our champagne a little bit more. So let's get a little bit more champagne, and we'll be right back with our listeners, and we'll share a little bit more about what's to come, and more importantly, how y'all can get connected and plugged in with the Backyard Bougie. So until we return momentarily, this is going to be the fashionable video editing, amazing technology we've got here. Not really, but we're going to figure it out. But we'll be right back with you. We got to top off our champagne, and we'll come right back and share some more with you. So don't go anywhere. Get your beverage full, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
And we're back with a freshly filled glass of champagne, or for those wine connoisseurs out there, sparkling rosé. I know. But, well, thanks for coming back and joining us. Little quick video edit there. Not sure if you could tell the end of that last segment, but our 2 very large Great Danes were hungry and started howling. And as we've committed, we're going to be fully transparent and open. There's no secrets here at the Backyard Bougie. And we definitely had to go and feed those fellas. So sorry about that, but we're back. Hopefully you got a chance to fill your beverage.
And they were just validating where we left off in regards to being beautiful and not perfect.
That's right.
And because they just said, hey, we're hungry, and I'm going to interrupt your podcast by howling, until you get the point to feed me. So it's not perfect. We never claimed to be, but this is part of being Backyard Bougie.
That's right. That's right.
So
welcome back, folks. Hopefully you guys got a chance to get a beverage and a refill maybe. Comment below and let us know what you're drinking tonight. Maybe you're sipping on some nice rosé. Maybe you're making yourself a nice cocktail. Maybe some Earl Grey tea. I don't know. You never know.
Hot toddy.
Little hot toddy. It is cold.
Cocoa.
Or some hot cocoa. You never know. Today is February 1st. And for those folks that might have been doing dry January, today may be the first day.
They're sipping with us, hopefully.
They're sipping with us. Well, welcome, guys.
Yes,
welcome.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump in and tell our listeners a little bit about the next couple of episodes and what they can expect. And let's give them a little glimpse into kind of what we're thinking, where the podcast is going to go. And if they do choose to join in and listen, which we hope you all do, what can they expect to hear next, babe?
Well, I think it's important to not assume that the people that are listening in knows us. So what better way to show our transparency and to get to know each of us on a different level. So the next podcast that you'll be seeing being posted with us will be getting to know a little bit more about me, Kristie. It will be titled Flip-Flops, Muck Boots, and Stilettos, because all three of those I wear, and I sometimes wear it all in one day, or if we're on vacation, I'm mostly in flip-flops, hopefully sunny on a beach, rain, or muck boots because we have a farm, and then just doing work around the house, and stilettos, nice evenings out with my boo, or just dressing up to have fun and feel a little girly. So you'll get to know a little bit more about me. And then the next one, you'll be excited to get to know a little bit about my boo. And yours is going to be called what?
Well, I guess to build off of this whole shoe theme, my episode, because I know there's countless listeners out there that just can't wait to get to know about me, but it will be titled Loafers, Cowboy Boots, and Cleats. Yeah. So I'm certain that has left you all just beyond intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I absolutely get it. I know I'm going to listen into at least the next podcast because I've been trying to get to know more about you for the last 33 years. So I may get a chance to learn something there.
Yeah. And likewise, I'll get to learn a little bit, maybe potentially more about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It'll be a great experience. That's right. That's right. Well, and then after we get a chance to introduce us to you all, we're also just going to kind of kick off with just a little bit of our early journey and share a little bit about what we call our love story. And we're going to share how we came to know each other, where our journey began, how our relationship began. It wasn't all pretty. We definitely had some opportunities to learn and grow and really experience relationship, experience forgiveness, experience unconditional love. And we're excited to get to share that with you guys again, all in the spirit of transparency. And if anything, hopefully somebody out there can take something from our experience and our journey and apply it to yours.
And the fun thing is that we'll read all the comments. And if there's anything that you want us to touch base on, like to hear more of or about, please message us and we'll definitely hear you out and formulate something that you're needing to hear, wanting to hear, share with somebody else. We're open to that too. So we'd love to add to our entourage of, variety in our trail mix bag. Right, babe?
That's right. That's right. The more nuts you can put in your trail mix, the better off you are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. Well, look, folks, we really, truly appreciate it. Without all of you out there, the 3 that have tuned in, obviously you've got 1 and 2 here and at least one other person. We could not do this. And we do this because of our love for people, our love for each other, our love for family, and really, truly, we just feel that it is our reasonable way of giving back to others because there's been so many people that have invested in us.
Absolutely.
And this is just a way to give back.
Yes. And these 3 years, like we'll share with you why we had to forcefully take a pause. We had some expected health things that had taken a wild turn all at the same time in regards to my parents' health care. They sold their house to come live with us up here on our property. They lived in Orange County, and they were here for since 2020.
2020, that's
and
right.
Then they built their custom home that they designed themselves. And unfortunately,
beautiful home.
Unfortunately, only got to live in it for a year and a half. 2 years, well, a year and a half living in it, my father was diagnosed with esophageal stage 2 cancer and went through many treatments. Simultaneously, we were fighting battles with my mom's kidney disease. She had stage 2B kidney failure. But on top of that, with COVID and all, she had gotten the brain fog from COVID. And so we were working through some things, long story short, trying to get her into several specialists, some of which we were able to.
That's right.
Thank God for her primary care. Just said, hey, Kristie, because of medical history, let's just scan her brain just to make sure everything's clear there. And they ended up finding a brain tumor. That was behind her left eye.
Yeah, this August, right?
Yeah, this August. I looked at the calendar in August and I was like, okay, you're in control because I'm not. This is so big. And there were so many pivotal moments in August.
Yes.
It's my birthday. It's my boo's birthday. It's our anniversary. It was my dad's birthday.
Your mom and
my
dad's
mom and
anniversary.
Dad's 53rd wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of things were going on, but there was a lot of appointments. Me for taking the pause to take care of my appointments that I had set off aside because of just taking care of them and maintaining our house and just doing life. And it got crazy and I forgot to do my checkup. So amongst all the doctor's appointments and specialty appointments and ER visits and hospital stays between both of them, it was really chaotic. And I was just embracing one day at a time. And so this is where we thank our wonderful, amazing friends for filling in those gaps when we didn't have the energy to entertain our younger kids, to be there for them, that our friends just filled in that gap, took them, let them stay the night while we figured out or rebooted. Just amazing.
Oh, yeah. Constant over and over again where our friend circle just stepped up, folks. Like that's the one thing that I'd encourage all of you, get in community, right? Regardless of what that looks like, whether that's through your kid's school, through sports, through your neighborhood, just through lifelong friends, whatever that may be. When you need community, you need community. And
absolutely.
And our community just stepped up in radical ways when we needed them to. And you guys all know who you are, and we love you and thank you. So.
Yeah. And so, so they found the brain tumor in my mom and she went into, she had brain surgery. And when she was able to be safely discharged, she came home to us. So
That's
they
right.
moved back in because it's quite obvious I can't live in two houses. It was hard to do as it was when they were living down at their house because I had to blend my dad's food because he wasn't listening to the doctors. He had to be on an all blended diet, and that was really tough for him, for a man that loved and appreciated food.
Oh, loved his food.
So that was really hard, but it was a sacrifice of which our family made. And so we manipulated our house around, and that was chaotic and trying to figure it all out. So my parents moved back up here with us, and my mom got safely discharged, but she only lasted 4 days at our house, and she ended up passing. But hospice was amazing. And then shortly after that, my dad, with his stage 2 esophageal cancer, he wasn't retaining weight. He wasn't gaining any weight. Couldn't keep anything down. So his only option after many, many, many trial drugs, as well as chemo and immunotherapy,
and radiation, right? He did radiation early on.
Yeah, that was he was on 3 different types of treatment plans, and he had chemo and radiation every day for 2 weeks. For his first treatment, took a break, did the PET scan. It had spread, and so they did the pump and immunotherapy. So he had to go back and forth with a pump that was in his arm that he had to take everywhere with him.
Yep.
And it would beep if it was not connected right, because his body was constantly being injected with this chemo. And then he would go in, and they were changing out and cleaning the veins and giving him a new pump. He would sit there and get his immunotherapy.
Yep.
So things were looking okay, but they just needed to aggressively stay on it. They didn't feel as though radiation would benefit him as much because there's so many organs around the esophagus that they didn't want to do more damage. So radiation was out of it, but chemo
and surgery. They
was
had
out.
ruled out surgery because
they ruled out of
the
so he
size,
wasn't
the
eligible
location.
for surgery. So he still wanted to fight, and so we all supported him on that. And so instead of having to deal with this pump that made it hard for him to shower, change, sleep, everything, they put him on a pill. So he was taking 1,500 milligrams of chemo pills twice a day.
Yep.
And he had done that. That was his last treatment. But because he wasn't maintaining food, and he went in for an esophageal stretching twice.
Yeah, I tried to stretch it out to get the tumor removed and displaced.
Pushed aside.
Yep.
And just to shift things around internally to see if they could get it to pass and to go through so he could start absorbing food. But he didn't want to have a feeding tube. And that was his only option because he really loved food. And just because he was having it blended, he still could taste it.
Yes.
And so we supported him on that. And because my mom had passed, he was just tired of fighting. And so he wasn't doing chemo and immunotherapy. Well, he was on a bunch of trial meds. And the trial meds was not working to help him contain and absorb the food. So he went on hospice 2 weeks later after my mom had passed, and then he passed away November 4th. So, my parents back to back, kind of crazy. One, you're thinking's kidney, and it was brain. And then another one, is esophagus. You're wrapping your head around it. That it surprised us all because, that really took my dad back because he was like, he had wrapped his head around, I'm going first.
Yes.
And I think we all did. And so the loss of my mother just going so fast the way that she did shocked us all. And that paused us a lot. And then with my dad's decisions, knowing that he was just done. He was tired. He wanted, and the amazing thing, hospice was amazing too.
They were phenomenal.
I mean, again, amazing people that are gifted and truly living out what they have been blessed with the gifts and talents. And they were totally living that out and making our family feel comfortable through the process, being there for each and every single one of us. But it was beautiful. And the last thing I could give our parents, which I'm so grateful for you, hun, supporting that and our kids supporting that, that, I got to give them the last as my thank you to them for their sacrifices for me and my sister, all the years that they were sacrificing behind the scenes, not really knowing until you are a parent what those sacrifices are and look like, because we like to manipulate the picture to not put the pressures of adulting on kids.
That's right.
We wanted our kids to still feel...
Be kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have fun through it all, even though life was throwing us lemons. We just added vodka. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, well, I mean, we probably
Lots
did,
of vodka.
but yeah.
No, but it was a beautiful journey. It was the last gift I could give them. They went peacefully, comfortably, and that's all I ever wanted for anybody is to.
And that's
just
all
go
they
peaceful.
wanted too, right?
Yes,
I mean, that was the beauty of it is they, and look, a shameless plug for really good estate planning, but they both had very robust and thorough medical directives spelled out. And it made it really, supportive of you and your sister and our entire family to make the decisions on their behalf, right? Because at that point, there's no decision to make other than, hey, I want to make sure that I'm standing up for my parents' wishes and desires.
Yeah, fulfilling the wishes. I mean, because I'll tell you, when we got sucker punched from the side and then gut punched in the front, and we find ourselves in, the hospital with my dad on the oncology floor, my mom on the neurology floor, and we're trying to determine what we should and shouldn't do with my mom. They were just evaluating my dad because he was losing 5 pounds on average a week. And, we're just, I was like, well, they have a directive, and we brought it in with us and we scanned it into her chart. And it was just constantly just trying to remind those individuals because there's so many shift changes, because you're not just dealing with one person, one nurse or 3 nurses. I was like, you're totally, you hope they communicate. And so you're just constantly repeating yourself like, okay, there's a directive. It's, in there.
That's
this
right.
is not what she wants. She doesn't want any X, Y, Z. And that the beautiful picture is that you're right. We didn't have to make any of those tough decisions other than just following with what she had on her directive of her wishes at
That's
this
right.
point.
Yeah, what she had already spelled out. Your dad had the same thing.
Yes.
It was very, very thorough. So, again, shameless plug, but get out there if you don't, especially if you've got kids,
Yes.
family, make sure you get that estate planning done and get those medical directives thorough and pre-stated so that your family knows how to live and fulfill out those last days of life for you. But I got a quick story that I think our listeners will enjoy. But the day, when Kristie shared that her mom had brain surgery, right? Mm-hmm. And she spent about 2 weeks post-surgery in the neuro intensive care unit here at the local hospital. A fantastic facility, some of the best surgeons in anywhere, in our opinion. Obviously, we'd say that because they were the surgeons. But spent 2 weeks there and got to a place where she was stable and able to have a safe discharge. And again, to fulfill her wishes, we knew that she always wanted to come home and spend those last precious moments with her family. And as the ambulance is transferring her from the hospital to the house, they come in and they're obviously bringing her here into our house. And as they bring the gurney in, right, she's pretty her mentation at this point is pretty impacted from the brain tumor and the subsequent surgeries. But what was really beautiful is they bring that stretcher into the house. She hadn't really been able to speak much. Her words were word salad. I guess that's the word of 2024.
It was like charades.
It was like you're trying to guess what she was saying. But in all of it, as soon as she got into the front door of our house on that gurney, she sat upright in the gurney and just with the biggest smile on her face, put her hands up in the air and said, "I'm home." And those were the last words I think that she had spoken. And there, within about 72, to 96 hours, she passed here in our home. But it was such a cool experience to see those final wishes of hers,
And
where she just wanted to be home.
Yeah.
Yep. And she was very, very appreciative, and you could just tell, and very peaceful, very restful, which she hadn't been able to do in the hospital. You could tell she had a years and years of horrible medical history where she had spent months on end in hospitals in the past, and probably had some lingering impact of that. And you could tell she just wanted out. And when she got here, you could tell she was able to finally go in peace. And that was just a beautiful thing to see. And your dad, right? The day that, I think we all knew that was probably going to be his last. And to get every one of our family, even your sister by phone, to come in and to just have a personal one-on-one moment with them. That was powerful. And I know it's tough for kids, right? We had mentioned earlier, we've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old and an almost 21, almost 23-year-old kid. And oftentimes, death is a very challenging situation to share with children, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we did the right thing or not, but we know the outcome. And the outcome was every one of our kids got to see and experience their grandpa, or as they called him, Papa, for the final time in a great and awesome way. And he got a chance to share with each one of them. Got a chance to, I think, speak life into him, and in a very special moment with our oldest son, right, who we we shared earlier, is getting married in September, right? September. Yep. Just after Labor Day. But the announcement wasn't kind of formal yet, right? Because he didn't announce it until Thanksgiving.
Well, because they were going to go on a cruise.
That's right.
And
so
he
after
hadn't
Thanksgiving,
proposed to her yet.
he hadn't proposed, but he came in and shared with your dad that's what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And it was a powerful moment because they had just celebrated 53 years of marriage.
Yeah. And there was many.
Look at me over here. I'm getting all emotional just talking about it, but it's so cool. It's such a great moment in our family's experience and journey.
Absolutely. And it was like, I thanked you for allowing the opportunity, because not every family can or has the means to be able to accommodate death and sickness as much as, or not as much, but as we were.
That's right.
Not everybody has the opportunity of having a spouse at home to be able to do that. And that sacrifice of our family has been a beautiful picture, not really knowing why we were going through everything that we were doing. And it hit us so fast. I look back and I still, can't believe I lived through all of that and came out whole. And again, friends stepping in and giving us and allowing us the mindfulness and peace that we needed to reset. But, I remember, and I'll share transparent, I do believe it was beautiful because of being the transparency. We did ask our kids, hey, if Papa should pass, do you want us to call you out of school, or do you want Papa to already be gone and you just come to an empty home? Because things move so fast. The need for beds and medical equipment are on such high demand. It's shocking. And you don't know until you know.
Yes.
And so all of those were on reserves, and there's so many families that need it. And so you make the call, and as soon as, the person's picked up, all your equipment that they allow you to utilize during this time is gone. And so I didn't know how our kids would want to, have that
experience it.
And they're like, no, we want to be home. We want to say goodbye to Papa. So that was precious. But I remember the moment my dad, was starting to self-reflecting. And that is a process. It's towards the end. And he just became very quiet. And I remember one day I just sat on the sofa with him, and, he looked over at me and he said that he asked if I had anything that I wanted to know or to ask him. And I said, I can honestly sit here, Dad, and say, no.
Yeah.
You've allowed me to be transparent all these years of my life. And you guys were transparent. And I've asked everything I needed to know. And there is nothing. I said, but the only thing that I ask of you is to be truthful and transparent with me, so I know you're comfortable. I don't want you to fight the fight as a superhero and trying to put on this tough facade when there's medicine or, some sort of assistant that could help you with a discomfort. Because I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I found it interesting because he had so much fluid and it was so wet, like a swamp.
And constant.
Yeah. There was no relief. And then as soon as he went on hospice and they took him off all of those meds, 16 pills at night, 5 in the afternoon, and 16 at night, when they took it down and scaled it back to 3 in the morning, 1.5 in the afternoon, and 3 at night, and pain med as needed, he dried up. And I asked him, this is how transparent we are. We're like, how do you go from like a swampland to desert? Does it hurt? Like, do you need a cough drop? Do you need some sort of like liquid? And he was like, no. I say, is it uncomfortable? No, but I can feel it. So he could feel the blockage, but it wasn't uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And dry. And so even in that transparency, me just, wow, I don't know what that would feel like, going from extreme, wetness to just being severely dry, and but being able to consume, but not retain the weight, which was interesting. But we were sitting there on the sofa, and I literally just looked at him and I said, no, Dad, I said, thank you for your transparency, and thank you for allowing me to be transparent. And I said, no, just be 100% honest with your comfort, please.
That's right.
And we just sat there and looked at each other and we both smiled. And, you know, many a times I had shared with you, I don't know if you remember, but I had told you that, you know, not only thank you for allowing this to enter our home, because people are probably going to comment on different ways on, you know, how that affected, but it was a beautiful moment for our family. It may not be for everybody, but it was for ours particularly. Yeah. Our kids were, you know, healthfully close to my parents, and we were all shocked. But getting back to just saying, you know, thank you for allowing this and having us all, you know, process it the way that, you know, it allowed. And transparency is a beautiful thing if you allow it. It's raw. It hurts at times. It's hard being truthful in your emotions because you're vulnerable.
Yeah. What do they say? The truth hurts sometimes, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And the truth of the matter is I was not able to, I think, invest a lot into the podcast being an emotional roller coaster of just trying to process and making sure our younger ones were properly processing it and trying to connect with the older ones to making sure that they are too. Yeah. We're all human. We all process things differently. And the beautiful thing is, you know, our son has constantly, our oldest would be just like, Mom, like, I just want to make sure you're okay because you just
checking in. Yeah.
You just lost both your parents. I mean, they're my grandparents, but I don't know if I could be where you're at if something like that would happen to me and have to experience that. So him and his transparency as a 22-year-old young man, sharing that, knowing that the transparency conversations with our kids are important.
It's very important. That's right.
Yeah. And, you know, just doing a touch base, you know, how are you doing? You know, those are very, very important conversations to have, even with our 10 and 13-year-old. Because it'll be amazing. You may be pleasantly surprised on what actually is going on in their little minds.
Yes. I know we say little, but man, I'll tell you, the minds of children are extremely powerful. And as parents, I think one of the best things we've learned is to take advantage of that naivety, that youthfulness, and being stewards of our children has been really, really important for us. And we'll get into some more of that in some future episodes. But look, thanks for sharing. Thanks for, I think, for our listeners and those that I know many of you have reached out and asked, you know, man, when's the podcast coming? And we've got so many folks that have checked in. I know many of you have reached out in the passing of Kristie's parents. We really, truly appreciate that. It's been an absolute blessing to our family. Those of you who have taken our kids and provided meals and dinners for our extended community that have, you know, gone above and beyond and just provided little gift baskets and flowers and different things to recognize that. It truly means the world to us, and we're very thankful and grateful for it. But thanks for sharing just kind of why the journey's gotten us to this point, why we had the pause, as you say, or as old President Bush would have said, the pause on the diver. But some of you may know that reference. But nonetheless, we are really looking forward to getting into some additional episodes in the near future. We're going to be releasing about one episode a week, and that is our commitment. We don't make promises. We make commitments here.
Yes.
And that will be our commitment, is to release one episode a week. We're looking forward to it. We'll have 3 or 4 that'll splash here in February, and then we'll continue that trend going forward. But to Kristie's point earlier, if there's something you'd like to hear, something you'd like to know, give us your feedback, your honest feedback. We know that this is new for us. We're just trying to, again, be in a spirit of transparency, in a spirit of love, in a spirit of hope and encouragement, but have a little fun doing it, right?
Yeah, and we all know that it's not a one-size-fits-all.
That's right.
And so what we're saying works for us relationally may not work for everybody else, but it is an idea of which you can, you know, adjust to what
Eat
works.
the meat, spit out the bones.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. So, but with that said, like what we like to say around here, we always like to say, stay bougie and stay real. We'll see you guys next time.
Salute.
Salute.